Good morning, everybody, and welcome to what is a really terrific little presentation we've got lined up for you today. Before I kick off, and as is appropriate, I would certainly like to pay my respects to the Larrakia people, where I'm sitting today here in Darwin, in Larrakia land, to their elders past, present and emerging. And also a big acknowledgement to all First Nations people across the top end of Northern Australia, to their elders past, present and emerging. The top end has some tremendous experiences, and today we're talking about a market that equally has fantastic Indigenous experiences, and of course probably one of the world leaders. And I say probably, it is one of the world leaders in what it does. And today, of course, here we talk about the market of New Zealand, or as it's regularly referred to in Maori as Aotearoa. Before I introduce our special guest speaker today, New Zealand's been a really good market for the top end, especially when flight connections are good. The last Northern Territory campaign run by Tourism NT was in 2019, and understandably cut short by the pandemic. New Zealand's one of Australia's biggest return visitor markets. Not only is it one of its biggest markets, it's one of its biggest return visitor markets. So every Kiwi coming to visit Australia, for every 100, 93 of them have been in Australia before. And this strikes me as a really good opportunity for the Northern Territory in the top end, with such a high volume of return visitors. And of these, 60% of them are here visiting friends and relatives. They stay on average 22 nights, and they have almost 2 stopovers in what they do. So they're not just landing in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane and catching up with their relatives. They are kicking on and visiting other places. And I think one of the tremendous things, as we'll talk about today, is that the top end offers something very different. In 2019, we had over 14,000 all-purpose visitors to the Northern Territory, of which 10,000 of them were holiday makers, and they spent just over $18 million. And again, I reckon we could do much better. And why is that? Because in 2019, the average layover to make your connections from New Zealand to the East Coast, people had to wait in Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne about 8 hours before they could get that connection through to Darwin. That's now been significantly reduced. And even with that layover in 2019, the New Zealand market for the territory increased by 21% over 2018. This month, Tourism NT have launched an extension of what we all know as the domestic campaign in Seek Different, and it makes a lot of sense. So it's on TV, it's on digital, it's on billboards, it's on the side of buses all around New Zealand. And also what a terrific opportunity when we see the recent new launch of Tourism Australia's campaign. And that gives an insight as to who we're talking today. And today we're very, very privileged to have the Country Manager for Tourism Australia for New Zealand, Idia Liu. Idia was recently appointed as Country Manager for New Zealand, and she's been with Tourism Australia. She certainly knows the organisation and what they're doing around the Asia Pacific region. She's been with them for over 8 years and held various roles within the organisation. And certainly leading a lot of the distribution and partnerships, which is really key to what we're doing, rather than sort of Kiwis Googling it and finding their own way. You know, they do have a strong relationship with their travel agents. They have traditionally done that for such a long time. So it's been a challenging time. Pandemic's behind us. I certainly commend the New Zealand market to everybody online to have a think about it. When you're in Sydney, Melbourne, you know, it's just that little bit extra to get over and spend a few days and visit our representatives of Tourism Australia, but importantly also get around and see those travel agents. So today I'd like to thank you very much for your time, Idia. It's great to have you here, and we're really looking forward to a bit of an update around all things that Tourism Australia is thinking about with New Zealand, and certainly how does that connect with the top end. And I'll hand it over to you. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, thanks so much, Glenn, for the wonderful intro, and hello everyone. Really, really lovely to connect with all of you today, and thank you again, Glenn and Sienna, for all the organizations and from a logistic perspective, and this great opportunity to be in front of you guys and talk about an amazing market, New Zealand market. So let's just get into it. I'll share my screen now, and please do stop me if you do have any questions during the presentation, and I'm also happy to answer anything you have towards the end. Market overview before pre and post-COVID, state of play of the market. And I would like to share a bit of consumer insights from a research and also on the ground perspective from our key partners, and then highlight some upcoming activities that we, Tourism Australia, are doing in the New Zealand market. All right, so a bit of the overview. Obviously, pre-COVID, New Zealand, as Glenn mentioned, is very important to Australia inbound tourism. So we actually welcomed 1.4 Kiwi visitors in Australia in 2019, and which is number 2 largest market, right behind China. And then they collectively spent 30 million overnight spend in Australia, and then 2.6 million, which is substantial in overnight expenditure in the country. So averagely per trip, 2,000, and per night is 200. We're very much trying to increase that, and given, you know, everything is airfare and accommodation is getting more expensive, we're actually setting a quite aggressive target for pre-pandemic, for post-pandemic, sorry, for Kiwi market to achieve in the market. Averagely, they spend 10 nights. Obviously, NT is much longer, as Glenn just mentioned, I think over 20 days, but overall 10 days for all purpose of travel. Well, this is a very different story now. So we're looking at a very different situation, I guess, as well as all other market. We have to say New Zealand's recovering really, really well. And if we focus on the vertical bar chart, looking at the travelers coming out from New Zealand, the blue bar represent the Oceania, region, which is very close to home to Kiwis, what we consider a short-haul travel. So they actually leading the recovery and has the most in terms of destination. Australia is doing really well in terms of the recovery. So the grey bar representing Kiwis travel to Australia. So you can see it's ahead of the orange, which represents a long haul destination as per a New Zealand market. So we're leading the way really towards the recovery. But you will probably see in the last months of August, the orange bar is slightly taking over the grey. Not to worry, it's a summer period of Europe. We do see a lot of traveller heading to UK to visit their families and friends. So and then the bar chart representing the recovery percentage, as you can see, Australia representing in green is recovering really well. So we're at about 60% pre-COVID level. Why I'm saying it's recovering really well is the challenge is aviation. The capacity is the challenge across the board. And in October, the overall aviation recovery is at about 61%. So we are doing really well. And all the flight, as you know, is full at the moment. And New Zealand was talking to us last week, and very gladly to report the load factor is at 99% for the quarter just past us. And they actually project the next quarter is going to be 99 to 100% load factor, which is great news. And this is really a good sign to encourage airline to add in more seats and flights as well. So looking beyond towards December, end of this year, the aviation capacity will recover to about 76% pre-COVID. And then March next year, we're looking at almost 80%, which is great news. So we will be continue seeing Kiwi travellers coming back to Australia. Just a quick looking at the travel purpose. Obviously, VFR's leading as well since the borders reopened. 53% travel to Australia on visiting family and friends. However, holiday is actually growing really well, and they're representing about 26%, which is a key component of the total visitation as well. And obviously, business always very strong from Kiwi market. So 15% of travellers come here for incentive business purpose. A bit of the state of play. I guess New Zealand stable compared to UK. I don't know, you probably hear from Sal around all the dramatic things about the PM. So we just had a new PM for UK, but in New Zealand market, fairly stable. Labour Party and just led by Jacinda Ardern is still in charge. The election's going to happen in later next year, November next year. Then potentially on the media saying there might be some changes coming over, but let's see what pans out. Looking at the whole border situation, New Zealand's actually slightly behind what Australia's borders timeline, and they took a very cautious, staggered approach for their border. So they only actually fully opened their border on the 1st of August. So we do need to bear with them, and because, as you know, confidence needs to rebuild and all that. So I think given them a bit more time, but we do see a lot of traffic already. Last weekend I was in Auckland, and it was the busiest ever time I've seen in the airport. Well, inflation at 32 years high at 7.3%. Again, this is a global trend, across the board challenge we're all facing. So we were used to talk about this health crisis, health challenge, and now it's more to a wealth challenge now globally. Unemployment rate is not too bad at about 3.3%, which is very similar to what Australia's level 3.5, but they predict that to go up to about 5% early next year, which is not a bad thing, which can help to manage that inflation rate and also the bank rate and etc. Well, I'm not going to go into too much about this economic world, but if you're interested, there's a lot of article in the media you can find how that correlated to the economy. The fourth one I want to touch on is competitive activities all ramping up. So you see brand activities in the Kiwi market. Lately, I think Bali, US has done a lot of ad promotions in the market. There's a lot of trade engagement again happening as well. I think recently Switzerland had a trade show, Malaysia, a lot of Asian company, Japan, all launching their education program in the market to reconnect with their travel agent. Because we lost about 70% during the pandemic for Kiwi agent, which is a shame. However, they are gradually coming back, and we need to reconnect them and put in front our destination to encourage them to better sell the destination. So we actually at Tourism Australia leading a trade show, Oz on Tour. It's our famous brand, working with STOs going there. So TNT, Tourism NT will be our partners going to the market to have a little engagement with the frontline travel agent, and also we'll share our new brand launched in the market as well. All right, let's move on to the consumer side of things. So what are you looking for and how are we tracking in the Kiwi market? So I think I'm really, really happy to report that the awareness, consideration and intention are really steady, holding really strong and steady in the Kiwi market. Actually, you can see that tip going up for all the matrix, which we're really happy to see. So, and then a lot of market I keep steady as well. And then UK and the US, Fiji as the usual market resonates really well in the Kiwi market in terms of destination. But we're really happy. And then with the brand launch, we're working on awareness and consideration, and obviously intention. We're looking at mid-funnel consumer activities and also working with partners on the ground to drive conversion as well. So when we talk about what experiences we want to put in front of the Kiwi market, we're often looking at what are the key drivers. So the top 5 drivers resonates really well for Kiwi market when they choose a holiday. Are there in the red box are highlighted. Safety and security across the board, every single market rank them number 1 or 2 as the most important factors. And then world-class nature and beauty, good food and wine also resonates really well with the Kiwi market. Value for money, I guess, everyone loves a little bit of the bargain, but we're not saying it's a discounted activity or destination. We want them to make sure what their money spent is really worthwhile. Friendly citizens, super important in New Zealand as themselves seeing the nation as very welcoming nation themselves, and Australia as well, I think rank really high among the Kiwi eyes as well, so which is great. So these are the 5 top key drivers, which everything we do will try to weave in those components in the promotion. Let's look at the attitude towards different type of travel in terms of domestic, short haul, and long haul. New Zealand, as you can see on each of the chart, ranked fairly highly, which they are very comfortable traveling domestically. And then short haul travel plays a huge advantage in Australia. Friendly neighbor, you know, a couple of hours flight, which is great. I know NT had this challenge, which Glenn mentioned earlier. With that, we're trying to reduce that layover time to make the accessibility a lot easier for the NT, for the Kiwi audience. So the good thing is long haul travel, Kiwis are still not feeling 100% comfortable. There's still a majority of the travelers will be hesitating travel in the short time. So we will be leveraging that as, you know, a friendly neighbor with safe destination to lure more Kiwis to our shore. The next two slides is that you can see the format's a bit different, but I want to include that very last minute. We just got this report coming out last week. We did a very deep dive future demand research, that's what we call it, to looking at the audience by different market and what they're looking for in terms of experiences. So if we focus on the middle three column for the New Zealand market, we actually can identify quite a bit of opportunity for the Kiwi market, which means they're high yield travelers, luxury travelers, and long stay travelers actually dominating the outbound travelers in compare to the global standard. So we have more high yield travelers in Kiwi market, which great, you know, align with our Tourism Australia strategy in terms of the target audience. And then also luxury travelers, we're not talking about necessarily spending a lot of money on accommodation as per se, but we know Kiwi love a great experience. So they actually rather spend a lot more in those experiential activities, which we can tap into just to showcase in front of the Kiwi audience. They stay longer, their average global audience, which is great for us in terms of the spend, which we'll be working on that as well. So these are the different elements you see here. So we're using a lot of the research to back our strategy and then to tailor our activity in the New Zealand market. So as I said, we're looking at very deep dive and probably 15 different categories of experiences to make sure we actually put in front of those audiences resonate well with them. So as you can see, the top 5 I just quickly mentioned resonates super well with Kiwi audience: natural environment, food and drinks, aquatic coastal, and those epic journey type of experience, which I think NT and Top Hen has plenty to offer. So based on the strategy, based on the consumer insights we have on the ground, we have locked in a strategy for the Kiwi market this year is to drive Kiwis to travel closer to home and show those who are contemplating a long haul trip while Australia has everything they're looking for. So what we're doing is really a full funnel consumer journey activity from brand, which we call Above the Line. We just launched the new brand campaign, which we already received a lot of great feedbacks in market. And mid-funnel to drive intention and consideration, we work with NZME, which is the largest media company in the market, through multiple channel, TV, press, and a content hub, really to showcasing the depth and width of experience that Australia has to offer. Obviously, we're working with airlines and the KDP partners on the ground as well to drive lower funnel conversion activity to really put bum on the seats to come over to Australia. So probably a quick just run through the upcoming activities in market. Super exciting. We just launched a brand, as you can see, beautiful creative we have there, amazing talent. I love Rose Bain. She just that welcoming character, I think, really works well in this campaign. Content partnership, I said, is a One Voice initiative, which we are working very closely with 8 state and territory organizations to working on the content, itinerary planning to showcase all these experiences in front of the Kiwi audience. Press office, PR activity always on. I think so far we've already invited 4 or 5 editors coming to Australia to experience different part of the country. And then they go back and then all these beautiful articles with beautiful images to promote Australia as a destination. Distribution development, we, as Oz specialists, I think that's very familiar with all you guys, going stronger and stronger in the Kiwi market as well. We have a delegate person based in Auckland to be able to face-to-face train these frontline agents in market. As I mentioned earlier, we kick off our Oz on tour on the 7th of November, working with the states to give an update on behalf of the industry in market. We have currently, I think, 320, last time I checked, agents sign up for a 4-day program, which is amazing, already exceed our target, very happy. Working with the states again on trade for meals, very important for those agents to firsthand experience the destination experiences. ATE, I don't need to mention more, it's a flagship activity. Last year we had about 10 agents attending ATE in Sydney, and then this year we moved to Gold Coast in April and May next year. Co-op partnerships, we just wrapped up a campaign with MasterCard as affinity partner. Hopefully we can share some results with all of you guys, but we're just really tapping into a different audience to amplifying our brand message and drive some conversion with their partners. They are partnered with quite a few tourism partners themselves, so they're also driving conversion at a lower funnel as well. We will be kicking off a brand activity with Qantas on mid-November, 14th of November as the launch day, really to emphasizing that good day, come and say good day brand message, working with one of, #1 carrier in market as well. And later on this year, we'll work with Air New Zealand as well to drive more conversion. I think that could be my last slide. Just bring to life some of the activity we have done. The first, the very left is before the campaign, the Come and Good Day brand campaign launch is some of those PR amazing work we've done with different publications and online channels. So this is a beautiful article talking about luxury that gives back, focusing on sustainable and Indigenous experience that Australia has to offer. The middle one, as you see, the trade media picked up a lot of the exposure for the brand launch, which is great, to put that new messaging in front of the trade audience that help us to amplify that message in market. Then Good Day, it's picked up so much media coverage in the Kiwi market as well. And then last but not least, 4 of us as a TA group who was in town last weekend, and it was billboard everywhere, and if you have any Kiwi friend, hopefully they've seen and hear our campaign through our multi-channels, and I'm happy to hear and know all the feedbacks you have as well for our new brand campaign. That is really all I would love to share with all of you today, but any questions, I'm here to answer. So I might stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was such a wonderful presentation, so clear. I really love your slides. They were very concise and gave us a good, quick introduction as to why we should be thinking more about New Zealand. A couple of things that I picked up on, and we always know that New Zealand's a market of travellers, but that slide that you dropped in those middle 3 of those top 5, high net travellers at 5.8, luxury travellers at 6.2, long stay travellers 6.2, between 5.8 and 6.2. My point is, that slide shows we all know that Kiwis love to travel, but gee, they love to travel. In terms of the amount of average trips per year that are taken by Kiwis out, which for me is a really terrific reason why we in the top end of the Northern Territory should be thinking seriously about the New Zealand market, because they're not 1 trip a year travellers on average. They're well above the global average. And the other thing in terms of travel motivators, and thanks for showing that slide, I think that was really key. Of the top 5, the 4 of the top 5 is what we are all about in terms of natural environment, wildlife, coastal, and journeys. We've got some epic journeys for Kiwis to get out and about up. And what we do have some little mango vineyards for different wines and what have you, and we do love our Green Ant gin and other great little delicacies here. So I won't discount the fact that food and and drink is a key part for us. And of course, you know, nothing like getting up here and catching a $1 million barramundi. If you didn't know that that's a campaign we've got going up here at the moment.
Amazing.
There are a couple of trade familiars that I know that Tourism NT have lined up in partnership with yourself.
That's right.
Which is terrific. And great to hear such great engagement from the travel industry in New Zealand. And to, you know, when I hear those numbers, I think, wow, you know, there's a travel industry that's still standing strong. And from my experience previously, Kiwis do respect the role that travel agents have, and they see them as a good partner. So having those key distribution partners, KDPs in play, that's really terrific. Do we have any? We don't have any questions. If you've got any questions, anybody you'd like to drop in the chat while we have Eddie here, that would be terrific. But I think your presentation was so comprehensive. People are sitting back and still thinking about it, and probably thinking about, why haven't I thought about New Zealand earlier, if I haven't already.
But Glenn, I think I just want to reiterate what you just said as well for the travel agency, because I know we're across the board, we lost so much talent throughout last 2 years, and then the speed that those people are coming back and the passion they have shown us, which is incredible. You know, the sign up we have for the roadshow, and then they're so eager to learn the new experiences and excited things about the destination. And to your point, and Top End has so much to offer, aligned with those key drivers, what Kiwis are looking for, which is great point for sale. And then given repeat visitation so high, and then when they come to visit families, they might think about a new destination, which is fairly new to them. They might not have been to your areas before, to travel with their loved ones together, so to share experience. So this is something I think is a great opportunity for you guys to reconnect with the industry on the ground. And then we do see a lot of people booking from travel agencies still. And then to your point, they are repeat, but I think that the IATA data even show us still more than 50% are booking the air ticket just alone by travel agency. Flight Centre alone accounted for about 30%, both Australia and New Zealand wise. So a lot of family are actually booking for their Kiwi families on Australia ground. So it is definitely a role for the travel agents to play in that market as well. So I 100% agree with you. The engagement is important.
Eddie, when we talk about key distribution partners, you just mentioned Flight Centre. What are some of the other big brands that you're working with?
Yeah, so Flight Centre and Hello World, which obviously, as you know, the global brand, which is very strong in the Kiwi market. And the other one's 100% Kiwi owned, super strong in terms of packaging, multi-state tours as well, called House of Travel. They are actually #1 in terms of packaging sale in the market. They do wholesale and resale as well, and they own almost 100 stores across the nation. Very, very big network. So these are the three key ones I would suggest if you want to reach out. These are the go-to agent network.
That's great advice. And for anyone online, I think it's House of Travel that Tourism NT have anchored their current Seek Different campaign. Right. And for everyone online, of course, if you're thinking about going to New Zealand, Tourism NT and the team at Tourism NT and the International Department, make them your first call to understand what partnership programs they've got. And then they'll be able to then connect up with the Tourism Australia team and their campaigns as well, and those other key distribution partners. And also the other thing is about making sure that information is supplied through Tourism NT, so it can get to your team, Eddie, so it gets to market, whether that's updates on what's happening, new products to be included in the national Aussie specialist programs, but also just fed through to those key distribution partners. We don't have any other questions on. Is there anything else? I think one of the things we want to extend to you, Eddie, is you need to come. We need to get you up here. We really appreciate that backdrop there that you've got. Nitmillock Gorge, such a special place.
I will be right where Ruby's standing there to experience that beautiful, amazing view. Oh my God, breathtaking.
Idea. We're gonna have to buy some ruby roos and then set that up as the selfie opportunity in Nitmillock, so you can appear as Ruby Roo did in the movie. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for all.
You're most welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much.